Welcome to this video. I'm really thrilled you're here today because we are tackling a super fascinating subject, one that sits right at the intersection of herbalism, aromatherapy, and real-deal cosmetic chemistry. We're talking about cannabis topicals. Now, there is a stubbornly persistent myth out there that making DIY naturopathic skincare with a cannabis twist is really just about haphazardly mixing some weed into a mason jar of coconut oil, stirring it up in your kitchen, and calling it a day. But listen, if you want to make products that actually feel good on the skin, remain structurally stable, and most importantly, are safe to use, well, it requires a lot more precision than that. To really set the stage for today's deep dive, I want to share a quote directly from our source material, the 420 formulator. It says, "At the 420 formulator, cannabis topicals are not just about rubbing weed into a jar of oil and hoping for the best." I absolutely love this because it perfectly establishes our goal here. This video is all about mastering real, structured cosmetic formulation. It's about understanding exactly what every single ingredient is doing and exactly why it's there. So, here is our roadmap for the video. First up, what are cannabis topicals? Second, balms versus lotions. Third, cannabinoids and terpenes. Fourth, carrier oils and butters. Fifth, emulsifiers and preservatives. And finally, building a topical formula. I know, it sounds like a lot of heavy chemistry, but don't worry, we're going to break this all down into a very clear, easy-to-follow journey.
All right, Section 1. What are cannabis topicals? Moving beyond kitchen craft. Simply put, a cannabis topical is a skincare product made with cannabis-infused ingredients that is meant strictly for application on the surface of the skin. Unlike edibles or tinctures, these are absolutely not designed to be eaten, smoked, or vaped. They are carefully formulated skin products. And what's really crucial to understand here is that the cannabis itself is usually carried in a vegetable oil. Think olive, grapeseed, or hemp seed oil. Once you infuse that oil, it doesn't just sit passively in the product. It literally becomes a fundamental, structural part of a much larger, carefully designed cosmetic formula.
Moving into Section 2, Balms versus Lotions, Understanding Product Structures.
You know, the absolute easiest way to understand how to formulate topicals is to just categorize them by their basic physical building blocks. So the first major category is what we call anhydrous. By definition, an anhydrous product contains absolutely no water whatsoever. It consists entirely of oils, butters, and waxes. This is exactly where your balms, your salves, and some of those heavier body butters live. And because there's no water involved, these products provide a very rich, occlusive, and highly protective layer on your skin.
Now, the second category is an emulsion. An emulsion is a blended mixture of water and oil, and they're held together by a very specific ingredient called an emulsifier. This is where your creams and lotions fall. Because they contain water, emulsions offer a much lighter, significantly more elegant spreadability over larger areas of your body. However, as we'll see, introducing water means requiring a lot more care and precision in your formulation.
When we contrast these two structures side by side, balms are incredibly beginner-friendly. Because they're strictly oil and wax-based with zero water, they generally don't need a broad-spectrum preservative. Lotions, on the other side, are beautifully light and moisturizing, but because they introduce water into the mix, they absolutely require strict cosmetic chemistry rules to prevent microbial growth. We're talking bacteria, yeast, and mold, not something you want in your skincare.
Section 3. Cannabinoids and terpenes. The aromatic connection.
Now, whether you're using a CBD, THC, or a full-spectrum infusion, the cannabinoids are obviously key. But it's the terpenes that bring the specific character and connect your formula directly to the practice of aromatherapy. Terpenes are aromatic compounds found in cannabis, but they're also exactly what give essential oils their signature scent and therapeutic profile. For example, lavender is rich in a terpene called linalool, which is perfect for calming formulas. Citrus oils contain limonene, which is super bright and uplifting, though a quick heads up, you really must watch out for phototoxicity with expressed citrus oils on the skin. Peppermint brings menthol for a strong cooling sensation, but it requires careful dilution. Black pepper and copaiba share beta-caryophyllene with a lot of cannabis strains, and tea tree offers that classic, sharp medicinal profile. The golden rule here? More is not better. Skin irritation is definitely not a badge of potency. You always want to prioritize proper, safe dilution over just chasing maximum aromatic strength.
Section 4. Carrier Oils and Butters. The Physical Building Blocks.
If terpenes are kind of the personality of your topical, carrier oils and butters are the physical foundations. They dictate the texture, the absorption rate, and the overall shelf life. People often ask what the best carrier oil is, but it depends entirely on the desired skin feel and stability of your final product. Grapeseed is light, much less greasy. Olive oil is very traditional, but definitely richer. Rice bran is wonderfully smooth and flexible for formulation. Hemp seed oil has this beautiful fatty acid profile, but it's delicate and prone to oxidation, meaning it really doesn't love high heat. Sunflower is versatile and super skin-friendly. Apricot kernel feels soft and elegant, which is great for facial products. And meadow foam seed is highly stable and gives this luxurious silky feel. When you're formulating an anhydrous product, like a balm, getting the structure right is a total balancing act. Waxes, like beeswax or soy wax, firm up the product. Butters, like shea, cocoa, or mango, add that richness and body. If you use way too much wax, your balm is going to drag uncomfortably on the skin. If you use too much butter, it can actually become grainy over time. And if you use too much liquid carrier oil, well, the whole thing will just melt into a puddle. So, that essentially covers balms. But it brings us to a huge fundamental question for cosmetic chemistry. If water and oil naturally separate, which we all know they do, how on earth do we actually make a stable cream or lotion?
Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, Emulsifiers and Preservatives. The Cosmetic Chemistry Essentials. To combine oil and water, you need an emulsifier. This is a very specific formulation ingredient that chemically binds the water phase and the oil phase together. Without it, your product will simply separate into a greasy, watery mess. Emulsifiers are kind of like magic. They allow your infused, heavy oils to become part of a deeply elegant, easily absorbed, moisturizing product. Utilizing an emulsifier marks the true shift from just guessing in your kitchen to practicing real, structured cosmetic making.
Now listen up, because this is the most common and potentially dangerous mistake beginners make: misunderstanding preservation. If your formula has even a single drop of water, and yes, that includes aloe vera, hydrosols, or herbal teas, you absolutely must use a broad-spectrum preservative to stop bacteria, yeast, and mold. Antioxidants, like vitamin E, are fantastic for slowing down oxidation and keeping your oils from going rancid, but they are absolutely not preservatives. They do nothing to stop microbial growth in water. You have got to know the difference.
All right, Section 6, Building a Topical Formula, taking it from theory to practice.
Let's look at how all this information builds into a really clear ladder of formulation complexity. If you're just starting out, follow this beginner-friendly progression. Start with a simple cannabis-infused body oil. Next, try making an anhydrous cannabis balm, so you can really learn how those waxes and butters interact. Once you're feeling comfortable, step up to a rich cannabis foot cream, which is a bit more forgiving as an emulsion. Then, challenge yourself with a lighter, fully emulsified cannabis lotion. And finally, you can start exploring advanced formulas like a cannabis oil cleanser, which actually requires understanding specific rinse-off behaviors and surfactants.
Whatever product you ultimately choose to make, the formulation thought process is always the exact same 3 steps. Step 1. Define the exact purpose and the specific body area. A delicate facial cream obviously needs a vastly different profile than a heavy, rugged foot salve. Step 2. Choose your structural phases. Are you making an anhydrous oil-based product or a water-based emulsion? Step 3. Add your supporting cast. This means precisely calculating your emulsifiers, adding those vital preservatives, and carefully diluting your essential oils for safety and scent. Remember, successful topicals are deliberately engineered for a specific purpose. Never just guess that. By really understanding the science behind the structure, you have the power to create some truly incredible skincare. But I guess the real question is, now that you know the rules of the chemistry, what groundbreaking formula are you going to engineer first? Read about cannabis topicals in much more depth. The website link is in the description box below. Thanks for watching and happy formulating!